With every multiplayer game comes a competitive scene. Smash Bros. And Mario Kart, two party games intended for casual play, have their own competitive rules, settings, and players developed by a dedicated community. Osu is no different from this. From originally starting out being an emulator for a DS game, it has evolved to be a staple within the rhythm game genre, as well as a community developing its own small competitive scene, which has years of history and stories from countless legends and moments. It has already created a niche part of the community that participates and follow competitive Osu, but is it realistic to see the competitive side get any bigger? But before we discuss further, I have an announcement to make. Some of you already noticed, but I've quit Osu. Tournaments. I don't really find them enjoyable anymore. I hate D rankers, and I especially don't understand players that sign up for a bunch of them. Like, hey Anarchy, why waste your weekend playing in tournaments you're not even gonna qualify for? I say this, but I joined a casual tournament recently after my 4-month break, because the tournament looked funny and I was just bored. I also wanted that zinger box for real. It was so easy signing up for these tournaments. I just go to the forums, I find a tournament within my rank range, I fill out the form, and done. I'm now an active participant in competitive Osu. The accessibility makes it easy for anyone to play, and to prove that you're good, just sign up and beat the players there. But compare this to other big esports games like League of Legends. There's a long and difficult process of entering the competitive scene. First, you need to prove that you're actually good by getting to Challenger, the highest rank in the game, or playing in a bunch of amateur teams. This gives you exposure and allows you to be potentially scouted by an esports team. Potentially is the key word here, because you're gonna have to pray that they will let you in, as well as having connections and networking to increase your chances. If not, that GG is over for you. If you take in consideration these 2 points, just sign up or this convoluted process, Osu sounds more appealing due to accessibility. Also, now looking at these games side by side, Osu is just way more easier to understand from a spectator standpoint. You have 2 teams, red and blue, and the scores are on the bottom showing who's winning or not. But in League of Legends, I don't understand what anyone's really doing. You have 164 champions with different abilities, builds, spells, runes, character roles, shop items, compositions. Okay, by now you probably understand that I don't play or like League, but I can see how a game like this is more appealing to watch than Osu. The players are actually versing each other in this in-game arena. You don't have to understand everything. You just need to know that they're attacking each other with their magic spells or some shit like that. You shoot each other in Valorant and beat the shit out of each other in Tekken, but you just play the same map in Osu. It's not really versing each other, you're just seeing who can get the highest score during that time. There isn't an interactive side to the game where you see players adapt to different playstyles or have the game change due to the player's actions. The most you'll see from Osu is like, oh, they're a speed player, better not pick a speed map against them. The tournament format for Osu sucks as well, because they take a long time. You got EVO, the biggest fighting game tournament, lasting only 3 days, and then major CSGO tournaments lasting a few days to 2 weeks, while a standard round of 64 Osu tournament would last 2 months. Dedicating yourself to a tournament for that long sounds mentally exhausting. You get each week to prepare by practicing the pools, as well as analyzing your opponent to find any weaknesses in their skill sets. But let's be real, you're probably not gonna do that. When it's the weekend, you hope that you're playing against a team that isn't across the world, or you have to fuck up your sleep schedule or social life in the process. Rinse and repeat until you win or get eliminated. But what if the rare chance you win, all that time practicing and playing, as well as the sacrifices with your sleep and social life, you're rewarded with like $300, a badge which is just a JPEG image, and some socks. That's from the OWC, the official Osu tournament. Maybe it's just the norm to see companies and sponsors pour millions of dollars in their prize pool, which give players more of an incentive to play, since they're gonna earn a higher prize, as well as showing that the developers care about the competitive side of the game. It's not like Peppy doesn't care. He has his own perspective on revenue within the game. Supporter tags are the main source of income, which are purchased by the community as a form of support, as well as receiving benefits. So that means there are no ads, no microtransactions, no gacha system or mechanics. The game's just purely free. Although not being the most optimal way to gain revenue from a video game, the community support was able to keep the game running from all these years. The money is then funded back into Osu as a way for Peppy to give back to the community. So into Osu tournaments, right? OWC gets like 5k in their prize pool, plus like another 1k from donations. No sponsorships, no investors, no organizations to help fund it. Although I wouldn't see a problem with outside funding. Having sponsors doesn't really interfere with the viewing experience, just like some banner on the screen isn't a big deal. While tournaments aren't the main focus, they gotta also put the money into paying staff as well. Considering they make more than the winners of the tournament, it shows where their priorities are. Additionally, other priorities go into server maintenance and especially featured artists. The featured artist system works with Osu asking permission from song artists to use their songs as well as supporting them so they don't get in trouble. You can still make maps of any song you like, but it's preferred if you do one from the featured artist listings. It doesn't sound like a big issue now, but Osu had always had problems with copyright issues in the past, from a bunch of Konami songs to the recent Ahisa incident. The solution is to delete the MP3 file, so it doesn't distribute the song freely towards others. Usually the artist is cool with the solution, but there is a likely chance that a larger music brand would take a more serious approach. I don't think a big artist like Saow would be happy with Gangnam Style being used in a tournament relating to an anime-like video game with tons of pedophile controversies. Osu has been avoiding this because the game isn't big or generate enough revenue for big music labels to take notice. Although a growing player base is seen as ideal, some players are thankful that it avoided the mainstream because it keeps Osu out of the radar from big corporations. Well, those players should be thankful since the game's player base has been on a decline. From reaching its peak during the COVID era, it has fallen down to pre-COVID numbers. Newer maps aren't being played as much, and content views are a fraction to what they were even before COVID. People are just losing interest in the game. Despite all of this, I do feel like Osu tournaments are bigger and more popular than they were before. The passion of the community allows for the competitive scene to thrive, and it's the only reason why it's still growing. Apart from the OWC, tournaments are all community-based, with the only support some tournaments receive from the Osu team is a banner in the main menu as advertisement and a JPEG image as a prize. Just make sure you don't get in trouble. Heh. Can't be me. The incentive of these players to win these tournaments wasn't because of money. They wanted to get better at a game that they love. The grassroots nature of the competitive scene shows the legitimacy of the game since it wasn't forced to be a competitive game. Overwatch. With Blizzard dumping thousands of dollars to an esports league for a game that's terribly designed to play on a competitive level. Unlike Overwatch, players and spectators will naturally invest into Osu, and the passion for the game is growing with prize pools getting larger, but I can't really tell where the game is going. The decline of esports and Osu in general, as well as existing problems with copyright, doesn't give the game a bright future, but the passion of the community for keeping the game alive and hosting a variety of tournaments make me look forward to what the community does for this game.